I buried my husband in front of 300 people. So who is the man wearing his face, living with another woman in another village? The soft patter of rain echoed through the zinc roof as Ayanda knelt beside the bed, her forehead pressed against the cold floor. Thunder rolled in the distance. The news had come earlier that morning, a phone call from a stranger. "There's been an accident," the man had said. "A bus crashed along the Makoma Gorge. We're sorry, but your husband's name was among the casualties." Ayanda's ears had rung, her vision blurred. She couldn't believe it. Musa, her heart, her friend, her husband of 8 years, was gone. Just the night before, he had kissed her cheek before boarding that old intercity bus. "I'll be back before the weekend," he had said. "Tell the boys I love them." But he didn't return. The days that followed were filled with confusion, grief, and unbearable silence. The body they handed her was barely recognizable, burned from the explosion. She clung to his wedding ring as proof. His ID was there too. She didn't want to believe it, but the ring and his papers were enough. The funeral was held under gray skies. Hundreds gathered. Ayanda wore black, holding the hands of her 2 sons, Lucky and Happy, who didn't fully understand that their father was never coming home. A year passed. Ayanda, though heartbroken, began to find rhythm again. She volunteered at the local school, worked part-time at a tailoring shop, and took care of her sons. Her laughter, though less frequent, returned. She had even started therapy, a small group led by Mama Zinzi, a kind older woman who had lost her husband in a mining collapse. Ayanda learned to grieve without drowning. One day, on a trip to visit her aunt in the village of Masana, 3 hours away, she saw him. It was impossible. Ayanda froze outside the market when she spotted a man. Tall, same gait, same scar above the left eyebrow. He was laughing, holding the hand of a young woman carrying a baby. Her heart raced. She followed them. The man turned. It was him, Musa, alive, smiling, and with another family. Ayanda could barely sleep that night. She sat by the window replaying the scene over and over. Was it a hallucination? Had grief played tricks on her? But no, she had followed him. She had heard his voice. She returned to Misana the next day and asked questions. People in the village called him Zola. He had lived there for almost 2 years, married to a woman named Nandi. They had a daughter together. Something didn't add up. Musa had died just a year ago. Ayanda dug deeper. She followed him discreetly for weeks, documenting every interaction, every habit, and even took photos. The more she saw, the more confused she became. He acted like a completely different man. He smiled more, had a new job at a construction firm, and appeared to be happy. But Ayanda needed answers. One evening, she confronted him outside his house. "Musa," she whispered. He turned. Their eyes met. Shock, guilt, panic. He ran. She chased him, screaming, drawing attention. Eventually he stopped. "I don't know you," he stammered. "Don't lie to me," Ayanda shouted. "I buried you. We have children." He looked around, whispered for her to be quiet, and then took her to a secluded place. "Please," he said, shaking. "They told me you would never know. I had no choice." He explained everything. A year before the crash, Musa had been approached by a man named Victor, a former associate with ties to an underground insurance scam network. They offered him money, life-changing money, to fake his death and vanish. He was desperate. He owed debts. His business was failing. His pride wouldn't let him ask Ayanda for help. Victor and his men arranged the crash. They found a body, burned beyond recognition, planted Musa's ID and ring, and made the paperwork airtight. The insurance payout was wired to a foreign account. Part of it was sent to Nandi, his high school lover, who had recently resurfaced with news of a child he never knew about. "I never meant to hurt you," he whispered. "I wanted to come back, but they threatened to expose everything. I would go to prison. They would hurt you." Ayanda was speechless. He had let her suffer, let their sons mourn, let her believe he was dead. Ayanda returned home, shaken but resolute. She secretly hired a private investigator. With help, they uncovered a vast web of fake deaths, insurance fraud, and missing people. Victor was at the center of it. Ayanda gathered everything: photos, audio recordings, financial records, and submitted them to the police. Police raided Victor's home. Arrests were made. Musa was taken into custody and charged with fraud, conspiracy, and identity theft. The courtroom was packed, the air thick with tension as the judge entered. Musa, once proud and confident, now looked small and fragile, his face gaunt, eyes hollow. Ayanda sat beside their sons, lucky and happy. Their eyes were dry but full of fire, the fire of betrayal, of loss, and of hard-earned strength. The evidence was overwhelming. The photos, the secret recordings, the financial records, all laid bare, the web of lies Musa had spun for money, leaving his family in ruins. Nandi testified too, a woman blindsided by deception, clutching the truth as tightly as Ayanda did. When the verdict came, guilty on all charges, a collective silence fell over the room. Then the judge's voice broke through, cold and unyielding. "You are sentenced to 25 years in prison. You will repay what you stole, if possible. The law does not tolerate those who prey on the trust of family for greed." Musa's shoulders slumped. The weight of decades ahead pressed on him like a stone. Prison was a world away from the life Musa had tried to escape to. Here, there was no hiding, no second chances. He was isolated. The men he once called friends abandoned him when his name hit the papers. Nandi cut all ties, refusing to hear his pleas or excuses. His sons, lucky and happy, avoided any contact, their youthful faces hardened by bitter betrayal. Each night, Musa lay on the cold metal bed, haunted by memories of his family's faces, the tears of Ayanda, the questions in his son's eyes, the innocent smile of the daughter he abandoned. Guilt gnawed at him like a relentless fire. He tried to write letters, apologies, explanations, but no one responded. The money he had once dreamed of spending was seized, tied up in legal battles. With no wealth, no home, and no family, he faced a future stripped bare. Back home, Ayanda carried the wounds of the past, but refused to let them define her. She opened a small tailoring shop, stitching not only fabric, but also the torn pieces of her life. She became a beacon in her community, volunteering, speaking about resilience, about the bitter lessons of trust and betrayal. Her boys grew strong. Lucky thrived at university, determined to break cycles of pain. Happy worked at a youth center, helping others who had faced hardship. Yet, in quiet moments, Ayanda felt the ache, a mother's pain for a family fractured forever. Years later, Musa remained locked behind walls, not just prison bars, but the chains of his own making. He was sick, lonely, and broken. His pride shattered, his legacy reduced to a cautionary tale whispered in the community. No forgiveness came, no redemption awaited, only the cold truth that choices have consequences. If this story kept you on the edge of your seat, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Enchanted African Realms. Share your thoughts. What would you do if the dead came back with secrets? Stay tuned for more powerful African tales that stir the soul.